Do you feel like women being seductive is it more about trying to set the guy up to make the first move, or is it about telling girls to go ahead and make the first move?
So the dating research shows that women usually make the first move in effective romantic um like couplings, but the first move that they make is subtle. Like
Yeah.
women's first move is usually a smile or like an invitation to come talk to me, right? Like there's some kind of prolonged eye contact or um you know some word said in passing or something where a woman indicates. This is again, most of the studies are on heterosexual couples so far.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
we're still catching up with with like um intersex and intergender relationships. um but um so basically this is what women do generally, and then the men come over, right? Or the men start a conversation, or the men, buy a drink or whatever. um and that is generally the modern courtship like flow. Essentially is like there's an indication of interest from the woman, and then the man follows up um if he wants to. And I found that incredibly useful. Like for me, that was very effective. Um, Part of it probably had to do with building my confidence then that like if I indicated interest in a man, there was like it's like already a conversation, right? Like I indicate interest and then he comes over, right? Or I indicate interest and then he texts me something really nice. Like um it created a
How
immediate.
would you do that? Like smiling, making eye contact, or like remembering something that they mentioned?
Yeah,
And
totally. And flirting in online dating apps. So my method is that you flirt immediately because people are like the first thing you say to anyone, and this again works for men, women, non-binary, whoever. Uh, first contact on a dating app is a flirtation because these people are getting a million likes. They're getting, like no effort from these likes. They're getting very little attention, or they're getting these conversations that are like, "Hi, how are you?" Go nowhere. These conversations go absolutely nowhere. So your first order of action is to put energy into the conversation, put energy into the connection. And that means you want to flirt. You want to let that person know why you're there, like why you swiped on them, why you're messaging them. And it can be really simple. Like it could be totally like I would even just say hello with a winky face, right? Instead of trying to like figure out what I say to be the most interesting woman they've ever heard. It's like, don't do that. Just like something really simple, winky face. Other great flirtations are direct compliments. Like tell them why you like their profile. Like what was it about their profile that made you swipe right or message them? Um, just literally like you have the most beautiful green eyes I've ever seen. Whatever it is, like it doesn't, it literally doesn't matter. Just something about like this is what caught my eye about your profile. Um, and then from there it moves on. But essentially you want to immediately distinguish yourself as like someone who's interesting, right? Like
Mhm.
because there's just an oversaturation, right? Like there's just so many people on online dating
Yeah,
apps.
there's so many. How are you? What's up?
Yeah. Hey.
What's going on?
Yeah. It's
It's like, what's
terrible.
up? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a person you've never met, like this is the thing is that it's a completely different world than we're used to. And you're literally meeting a stranger online who's looking for connection. So you just gotta step up your connection game a little bit more. Like
Yeah, and then
just
we over-examine every text 'cause we have time to think about it. We have time to reply to it. It's not like a
yeah,
human interaction where it's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then quickly
yeah.
start flirting.
Immediate flow. Yeah.
Because obviously, also in person, you wouldn't just come up and be like, "You have beautiful green eyes." Like in person,
Yeah.
you would be like,
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, so and so," and then begin the flirting process.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
for women, do you feel like because overseas, I don't know if you experience this, there's certain areas where women are a bit more proactive because men tend to be
Mhm.
not as proactive as the women over there. Over here,
Mhm.
the man is like you said, that the woman does subtle things, eye contact, smile, um, touching the shoulder, any touching the arm, something like that. Because, but then again, the guy has to read it well too, because I've also had friends who the cashier says smiles and hasn't and says have a nice day, and they're like,
Yeah.
"God, I think she wants it."
He wants me.
Yeah, it's like, no, that's her job.
It's her job. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in human interaction at every level, right? Like, I'm married. I still miscommunicate with my husband.
Mm,
Like,
mhm,
there are still misunderstandings. Like, that is, in a way, like, part of human interaction when we, make these assumptions about what the other person means. Um, and so, there's definitely potential for, like, a little bit of embarrassment, I would say, or just awkwardness, in
yeah,
general.
wow.
But yeah,
But sometimes also addressing awkwardness, that's also a good way to kind of hey, this is
yeah,
awkward.
just call it, see it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to kind of power through it, I think.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
And oh god, there's so much that can be said about that. Shoot.
Really? Well, do tell.
Well, I was just your first comment reminded me of like, your first comment was about flirting online versus in person, right? Like,
Mhm,
online, yeah, you can say like you have nice eyes. In person, you're not going to start that way.
mhm,
So essentially, in person, what you want to do to engage someone to like check them for this interest, you want to engage them about something that you're doing communally. So you're going to draw them into like whatever the situation is. Like if you're out at a concert, you say like something about the band, right? You mention something about the common experience you're having. Um, I can't think of a good line for a checkout person right now.
mhm.
So, I'm sorry about that. Usually, I'm pretty good at thinking of, like, good flirtations, but it's for whatever reason, that's not coming to mind right now. But you wanna say something like, the theory is that you would wanna say something that connects the 2 of you, like, the experience that you're having in general. So, you'd wanna say something about the store, for example. Like, you wanna just, like, kind of fuel the conversation, and then the checkout person would need to either, like, show interest in you, like, really reciprocate your attention, or they would make it kinda obvious that they're, like, gonna check out the next person in line, you know? And so that would let you know quickly or at least more definitely if, like, this person actually feels interested in you or this person's interacting with you as a customer.
Yeah, maybe they're just being kind. And that's why I feel the
Exactly.
barometer for a lot of people is kind of broken because
Yeah.
sometimes they over sometimes they don't give themselves enough credit. Sometimes they
Yeah.
think the girl's just being they put their own selves down, right?
Yeah, it
To
works
walk away
both
from a
ways.
situation from a potential that could have went
Yeah.
somewhere. You know,
Yeah.
like think about the checkout girl. You can walk up to them and be like, "Hey, how I don't know, there's a song on there, right? How many times does a song
Yeah.
play a day, right? Because there's always the same songs.
Exactly.
They could be,
That's
oh God,
what
it's dreadful. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
something similar.
Exactly. Perfect example. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just something
Yeah.
that gives them the spotlight and lets them rant about something that it's not very deep. It's not like traumatizing, but it's still something they can vent. Something like, oh, like,
Yeah.
or if there's no cashiers working or so and so, like, I guess all these
Yeah.
registers are for decoration.
Yeah.
And they can vent like, yeah, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Something that puts
Exactly.
the onus on them, the attention on them, 'cause if you're just like, "Hey, what's up?" Working.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not and
Exactly. I don't know. What do you want me to say? Like, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And also you wanna avoid yes or no question.
Yes, that's another great one. So that is next thing I teach is that so you start with a flirtation like that, and then you immediately move into what I call emotional questions, which are basically as you just exactly landed on. It's like not a yes or no question, so it's an open-ended question, and then it gets to who that person is. So it's really putting the attention on that person, and getting into like more of the emotions of their life. So it's like, oh, do they feel like disgusted by their situation right now, or do they maybe they love that song that they heard, like maybe that's their favorite whatever, like that's their jam. And you will just by asking those kinds of questions, like you just find out so much more about who that person is and you have more fun. Like both of you have more fun rather than the kind of questions people often ask, like, how are you? Where's your hometown? Like, where did you grow up? Like those kind of dead end one word answer questions are death in dating chats because you don't know very much about that person yet. And they've already told that information to like so many people in their lives that there's going to be nothing about you that stands out. Like, no, you will not stand out with that kind of question and information exchange. Like, how many siblings do you have? Like, that does not matter. What you need is you need to know who that person is. Like, you need to know their core. And the questions that you just mentioned are the thing that's gonna get you there, right? It's like, not yes or no. Don't ask yes or no questions, like, don't do that. Open-ended and something that really puts the attention on that person is going to go so much further for anyone. Again, this is where that's the theory, like, for men, women, whatever, is like, doesn't matter.
The
It's just
rest
people.
lies on you, right? This is
Yeah.
things that kind of
Yeah.
it's all the little jump starts. That's all it is. 'Cause
Yeah.
all these things could happen, and then the girl could change her mind, or the guy could change her mind, and that's fine. Cool.
Yeah. Or someone's already like has a partner. Like it's like,
Yeah.
you don't know. You don't know someone's situation. But you're just testing. Like you're just testing for compatibility and connection and like whether you can even enjoy this person because that's not a given. Even if you've matched on a dating app, like, you know, I matched with plenty of people who are just not a good match. Like you don't get very much information from a profile. So
Yeah, because the match is just superficial, right? It's just a profile, like a picture.
yeah, it's like these are the pictures, maybe some prompts, a little bit of information about their life, like politics and whether they smoke or like, stuff just very, very surface level, exactly. As you said, superficial for sure.
Hello on the